What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a wonderful Christmas holiday and a happy new year ahead. Texas Platinum is back. We got Matt Myers. Matt Madrid is out. And we're going to be previewing the Texas versus Colorado game in the Alamo Bowl, as well as just talking a little bit of other Texas football news afterward. So sit back and enjoy. Let's hop right into it. So, Myers, we play Colorado. It's been a minute since we played the Buffaloes. I think since they left the conference in 2009 with Colt. So it's been a while, but it should be a somewhat exciting matchup. Probably not quite as exciting as the Cheez-It Bowl, even though that's just a funny name. So it would have been fun to make fun of them, but against Miami. So tell me a little bit about what you're thinking about this game, kind of the ins and outs of the Colorado football team.
Yeah, Colorado's coming into this game at 4-1 with the new head coach, first-year head coach, Carl Dorrell, however you pronounce it. It was kind of surprising, honestly, to see Mel Tucker, who was there last year in year one, just bolt after the first year to Michigan State, which I think is kind of a lateral move. But, yeah, I've watched a little bit of Colorado this year, especially the Utah-Colorado game. It was in the snow. And they're definitely a scrappy football team. It's pretty apparent that their linebacker, Landman, I forget his name, is definitely one of their best, probably their best player on the team. And he's apparently out with an Achilles injury, which that definitely hurts them. But we have our own players out as well. I mean, Joseph Osai, the list goes on and on. Taquan Graham, Kerstetter. So we'll definitely both be playing a little behind the eight ball in that regard. But, I mean, yeah, I'm just thinking about Colorado in general. The last time we played them was 2009. I was at that game. We were ranked like 2 in the nation, and they went up like 14-3 on us. And my dad and I were just like throwing fits in the upper decks of DKR. And then Earl Thomas gets like a 90-yard pick six, and then we turn it on and win with Colt. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of fun matches with Colorado over the years. I was at the 70-3 beatdown in 2005 with Joel Clark getting destroyed. So it's just going to be fun seeing Colorado and Texas on the field together, just the two brands. And I'm sure they'll be very motivated for this game because, I mean, they've been to, I think it's 2 bowl games since 2008. So, I mean, and they have a good running game and they're scrappy on defense. They definitely have a good culture going in year one of their head coach, and they play A&M next year. So a lot of interesting things about Colorado to look forward to in this game.
Yeah, kind of a funny statistic that I saw when I was reading up on them is that, like you said, they haven't played in a bowl game in a while. I think only 2 since 2009. And then the funniest thing of all is that they haven't won a bowl game since Klatt was quarterback back in 2004. And I'm like, man, if we lose this game, like it's gonna be history for them. So let's hopefully bring our A game to this and not lose to a team that hasn't won a bowl game in what would that be, like 15 years, maybe more. Yeah, so funny stuff on that end. Colorado on their schedule, like you said, 4-1. They had a pretty decent Pac-12 showing. The only thing about it, though, is that because of how the Pac-12 scheduled everything, they only played 5 games, and honestly, they didn't play anyone that was really of note outside of maybe Utah this year. They started with UCLA, then Stanford, San Diego State, Arizona, which is horrible. Goodbye, Sumlin. And then Utah, which they didn't even really have a good year. They were 2-2, or when they played them, so they finished 3-2. So definitely not the Utah of the previous seasons. Kind of in a rebuild, even though they're taking all the quarterbacks out of the Big 12. So guess they're doing that all right. So yeah, kind of a scrappy team, but not, I wouldn't say they're really a team to be overly afraid of. Let's talk a little bit about their players. I'll hand it off to you, Myers, to kind of mention a little bit more about what we should expect from their personnel.
Yeah, they have a good running back, Jarek Broussard. He's kind of their workhorse. I mean, he gets like literally most of their carries, but and he's going to be a problem for us. But the good thing about that is Texas in general and Orlando and Chris Ash, really Tom Herman. We've really been good against the run, so I'd rather them be a better running team than passing team. But also their quarterback, Sam Neuer. I mean, his stats aren't going to blow you away, but I watched him like against Utah, and he'll definitely sit in the pocket and make some smart throws under pressure. He's definitely, I mean, he's a senior, so he's definitely seasoned, and he'll take advantage of if we make any mistakes. And Katie Nixon on the outside. Whenever I watch Colorado, it seems like Katie Nixon's always making plays. I remember when he came into Colorado, but he's a really talented player. He's probably one of the best receivers in our receiving room if he was on our team. So they also have Laviska Shenault, the brother on the team. I believe it's his brother, Levante Shenault. So they got that Texas pipeline still going there. But yeah, I mean, they don't really have on defense. I mean, they got a bunch of good linebackers. Even with Nate Landman out, they do have Akil Jones in the mix. I think he had 10 tackles against Utah. So
Wow.
Their defense, I think their defense will give us a little bit of trouble, especially with our offensive line just being so green this coming game. But then again, we do have Bijan to kind of help with that, and Sam Ellinger. But I mean, yeah, they got players. I mean, Colorado's not going to obviously land a bunch of 5 stars or 4 stars, but I think they get the most out of some of their players, like Derek Bouchard. So definitely not any slouches. Before this, we got on this. Trevor was kind of comparing them to Kansas State, and I'll let Trevor speak on that if he wants to. But yeah, I think Kansas State would be a good comp, which I think that bodes well for us. I mean, we saw kind of how we matched up with Kansas State last year. They're just similar stylistically, and they don't have Deuce Vaughn, but Broussard's pretty good too. So yeah, they got some players.
Yep, just like you said. Yeah, I was trying to think of teams we've already played that they'd compared to, and originally I said West Virginia, but you felt like their passing attack, West Virginia's passing attack, is a little bit more dynamic than what we should expect out of Colorado. But yeah, probably a Kansas State, just in that they're definitely a run first option. Defense is not bad, like a serviceable defense. Missing out their star linebacker, but yeah, so definitely a run first type team. Except their quarterback is pretty mobile from what I've seen and what I've read. I almost would say he's kind of like a bit of a Sam Ellinger in a way. Solid senior quarterback, runs the ball. He's second on the team in carries, which is pretty impressive. Similar stat line to Sam. Of course, the season's half as long as what ours has been, so chop it in half. But yeah, that's kind of what I think of Colorado. Overall, a solid team. Really, I think the big thing to talk about is the extenuating factors here with this game. Texas has, in the past couple years, played in bowl games where their opponents have been coming off of disappointment. You talk about Georgia, who was right about to make the playoff and got dropped to the Sugar Bowl and had a lot of, maybe not a lot, but a fair amount of seniors sit out of that game because it wasn't for the playoff or anything like that. Same thing with Utah. Also was right about to make the playoff and just missed the cut and ended up in the Alamo Bowl of all bowls. So they were probably even less motivated. Of course, we don't really know what the players were feeling at the time. Like, you'd have to ask them. But from the outside perspective, that's what you were getting. So Texas was playing a severe underdog role in both of these games against better opponents, per se, that from the outside perspective didn't naturally would appear not to want to be in those games. This time the role is a bit reversed. Texas had a disappointing season that we've talked about ad nauseum for the past, how many months. And Colorado, on the other hand, has had a pretty good season for their standards. 4-1, with a lot of pretty decent wins. And they're, from what I could tell, they should be plenty happy to be playing in the Alamo Bowl. Texas, on the other hand, they were just there last season. And we got a lot of players sitting out. Apparently we have a decent amount that are dealing with COVID right now. So, and that we don't know who, because of health regulations and stuff, they don't need to tell us the names of the people that'll be out probably until like a few days before the game. So yeah, it's a bit of a flip-flopped reversal of everything. And it'll be very interesting to see how Texas responds if they get up for this game like they did last time they played against Kansas State, or if they come out a little bit flat like Georgia and Utah did of the previous seasons. What do you think, Myers? What's kind of Texas's MO, and what should we? I mean, of course, we don't really know Colorado because we don't watch them consistently enough. But what do you say the team's mentalities should be, and do you think that'll be a big factor in this game?
Yeah, I think it'd be definitely interesting to watch. Against Kansas State, I was kind of expecting us to kind of not be too motivated for that game because we just narrowly missed the Big 12 title after all that, strenuous offseason and, that. So I expect this. I mean, they proved me wrong once, so I wouldn't be surprised to see us come out motivated again. Under Tom Herman, just in general, even back at Houston, he'd always get him up for bowl games. He's like 4-0 in bowl games, I believe.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, the whole reason for that partly was because we were always the underdog, and Herman's best is an underdog. That's factual. So it's kind of hard to say. I do think we'll come out motivated though, like in the end, because like it's an exhibition game essentially, and that's when Tom Herman shines the best. So,
Right.
yeah, we'll get that big bowl win in my opinion, and get the momentum going for next year for the fourth year in a row. So, I mean, I expect us to be ready to play, and I expect Colorado to be ready to play as well. That's what is more important because usually Georgia, Utah didn't care to be there. I mean, you could argue that. I'm sure they did care to be there, but Colorado, like this is a big deal for them. I mean,
Yeah.
I went on their message board, and all their fans are super excited to just be in a bowl game playing Texas, a name brand, old Big 12 rivals. So I think Colorado, we're going to have to match their level of motivation, and they'll probably be very physical to start the game out, and I'm very excited to be there. So I think it'll be two motivated football teams. So hopefully it just cancels out, and then we just win with our athletes in space.
All right. I like it. Let's talk about Texas side of the ball. We got, like we just said, we got a fair number of players sitting out. Cosme and Stearns, of course, they opted out earlier on for the NFL draft. Now we got Osai gone. We got Chris Brown gone. We got Graham gone. Kerstetter, of course, with injury. Ingram, injury, and probably right about to transfer. And then we got Eagles, who just declared for the draft. I guess somewhat surprisingly, I think that was definitely on the table from what I've been hearing for a while, but at the same time, it's not like he came off of a prolific season or anything like that. Probably just kind of wanted out of college, which, all to you. So fair number of players sitting out. Let's talk about personnel. How do we replace these players? A lot of them are captains. In fact, our only captain for this game is going to be Sam, which will likely be his last game. We'll have to see about that. What should we expect from our backups?
Right. I think I'm actually excited to see all these backups get in there. When you look at Eagles, declaring for the draft, it opens the door for people like Marcus Washington, who I think has been snubbed of a lot of valuable playing time that he should have been getting, even if Kai Money's more impressive in practice and stuff like that. You have to play Marcus Johnson because there's vicious rumors going on that he's going to enter the portal too. And same with Malcolm Epps has also been, I've heard smoke on that as well. So you got to get these guys that are on the fence of the portal, get them some love this game, especially with Eagles out, and just try to maximize them. And then defensively, without Osai, Taquan Graham, it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm excited though because we got so many good bodies in the front seven. Hopefully we'll get to see some Vernon Broughton in the game. Obviously, Alfred Collins is going to play a lot. Marquez Bimage, he's not back yet, but we just announced that he's coming back for 2021, so that's exciting. But I'm just I'm not very worried. I think we have more than enough talent on defense. Jaron Thompson's going to be in some more with Caden Stearns out. So Defensively, I'm not really worried. Offensive line, though, I know it looked great against Kansas State, but Kansas State was so depleted
Right.
defensively. So that'll be more interesting to watch with Karich and Majors starting now, with Kerstetter gone, Cosme gone. But I mean, I like what I saw against Kansas State. So if they can keep that momentum rolling against I think, a more formidable defense, giving Bijan some holes. I think that'll be a great sign for next season because Okafor just announced he's coming back for his fifth senior year, maybe his sixth year. I don't even know. But, I mean, our O-line has the potential to be really good next year, very experienced at least. So hopefully we can see more good things out of our young guys. But I'm more excited than nervous, honestly, to see these young guys and backups get in.
I like it. Yeah. And yeah, I'm more just looking forward to how we go about attacking, I guess, both this offense and defense in Colorado. Um, yeah, defensive line is definitely something to be looking out for on the defensive side of the ball, being that Colorado runs the ball so much. And normally I'd be like, not even remotely worried because our defensive line has really shown up this year. But without Osai and Graham, and Coburn's kind of been in and out, dealing a bit with injuries since kind of the end of the season. It'll be interesting to kind of see who steps up and starts really flashing and making plays because like you said, we have a lot of pretty good defensive linemen in the pipeline right now. We'll have to see kind of who starts really making a name for themselves, so that next season, they go in with a little bit more hype. Yeah, that'll be interesting on the defensive side of the ball, and then offensively, yeah, I'm curious to see how we're gonna go about running it. Will it be more like the K-State game where it's a lot of just power run to match their run, or are we gonna air out the ball a little bit more than what we typically do? But my guess would be that we'd go to the running game and just meet their run with our run and kind of be a bit of a ground and pound game, kind of like what we saw out of West Virginia and K-State during the year. That's just my guess. And I feel like we always run the ball a lot in bowl games. Now that I've thought back to all the bowl games we've seen under Herman, I think running has always been kind of the main attack offensively. So just kind of what I'm expecting. Do you expect the same?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely run more than we pass. I mean, we saw against Kansas State, just with a healthy Roshan and Bijan, just feed them, make them holes in the O line, let them work, and then when we do pass, definitely try to target Whittington and Smith and maybe Josh Moore like in space, not too far downfield because it's clear Sam Ellinger's just cannot throw the downfield ball, and we're kind of wasting our time
Yeah.
doing it, honestly. So maybe one or two a game, but that's about it. So. Yeah, I think we just need to follow that offensive game plan that we did against Kansas State with tempo, running the ball, and throwing it to the side of the field more than downfield. Just staying ahead of the chains, and yeah, I think our offensive game plan will be very similar to Kansas State, and it should be too.
Yep. And then, like we said, Sam's last game, we don't know for sure. There's a chance he comes back. Thoughts on that? I mean, my assumption here is that if Herman's our coach next year, which we don't really know. I mean, CDC says that he supports him and stuff. He never explicitly says Tom Herman is our coach for 2021, but he hints at it. I'm not reading too much into that. To me, I think that's just pageantry and, just showmanship and stuff like that, just to try to help recruiting, even though he maybe even heard it a little bit more. But my opinion is if we get a new coach and let's say he's a big name coach, which I don't know if we're going to get that. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Keep hearing conflicting stuff. If we get a big name coach, I think there's a chance Sam comes back just as one last shot to like improve his draft stock and maybe like win a Big 12 championship like he wants. But if it's Herman, I'd say he's gone without question. Thoughts on you? Is this Sam's last game?
Yeah, I just don't know if he's coming back or not, but I'll give you kind of my thoughts on the situation. Before the season, I was like, we definitely want Sam Ellinger to come back if we can, because think about it. We've been like in quarterback purgatory for the last 10 years. We finally have a good quarterback, and we're gonna just bank on one of these unproven guys to just be as good as him next season. But when you start looking at how he's played this season, he's kind of taken a step back. He's regressed without Duvernay and Colin and Lil Jordan Humphrey. So it just kind of makes you wonder, like, what would Hudson Card do in this offense? What would Casey Thompson do in this offense? So I don't know. I'm if he came back, I wouldn't be that upset, but I do want to see what Hudson Card can do. And the grass is always greener. So I mean, we could say, get out of here, Sam. You've been a great Longhorn, but we got to let these young guys, get their full development and let them start their careers. And then we end up with Casey or Hudson, who just looked really bad next year, and then one gets injured, then we're putting in Charles Wright in there, and it's just one transfers out. Like it could. The quarterback rooms in 2020 are so fragile with
Yeah.
the transfer portal and everything. So I'll feel kind of weird trying to shoe off our captain who's been there um, in favor of young guys that'll thin out our room even more, because we'll only have 3 scholarship quarterbacks next year if Sam leaves, assuming we don't take any transfers. So I guess I would want Sam back, but at the same token, I also want to see what Hudson Card and Casey can do.
Agreed. Let's go into score predictions to wrap this up from the Colorado side. Let's start with you, Myers. What you got?
I have Texas winning 38-17. I just think we'll just continue. Tom Herman's the king of bowl games. I think we'll definitely show up ready to play just an hour from Austin and pretty much Longhorn territory. So, yeah, I think we'll roll as we usually do in bowl games. We'll start the hype train for next year for like the 11th year in a row.
Right.
And, we'll send Sam out on a win. And, yeah, I'm expecting a clean game from Bijan and the O-line, and we'll just do what we do in bowl games.
Agreed. I got us winning as well. Kind of a similar score line, 40-27. A little bit tighter game than yourself, only a 13-point spread. So I believe the line right now is 12.5. So just barely going over that. The only reason I have them really scoring like 27 is I'm not entirely sure about our defensive line with Osai and Graham out. I think that they'll, kind of like you said a little bit earlier, it wouldn't shock me at all if Colorado got off to a fast start and then kind of faded away after I'm expecting a fast start from Colorado and a somewhat slow start from Texas. That probably come like third quarter, something like that. The script flips and then we start putting on the points and stuff, and kind of like what we saw out of the Kansas State game, just piling it on. Definitely not scoring that much, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I see 40-27 type game with a lot of the points scored, not in garbage time per se, but essentially garbage time. Well, cool. That is it on the Alamo Bowl game. All right, guys, now we're going to talk a little bit about other Texas news, as well as going into the playoff picture kind of at the end of this to wrap things up. Actually, let's talk about Texas's rivals at the moment, A&M and Oklahoma. Both of them, unfortunately, are surging at this moment while we are going a little bit down the hill. We got Oklahoma winning the Big 12 again. I think that's like 5 in a row. Maybe it's even 6 in a row. I've lost track. It's getting demoralizing. It's been demoralizing. Iowa State kind of came back and kept the game close, but I'm not remotely surprised that they found a way to lose it. Not that I didn't believe in this team or anything like that, but the Purdy interception and everything. If he just eliminated those turnovers, I think they would have won the game. But that's what you get whenever Texas doesn't show up during the season and can't beat an Oklahoma team that they should be beating. So yeah, Oklahoma, they'll be playing in the Cotton Bowl against Florida. That I'm actually quite excited to see. Florida players already are trash talking OU a lot, and I think that's going to get Oklahoma pretty motivated. So I expect probably not OU to win, but a good game. And then we got A&M, who just missed out on the playoff. A lot of Aggies right now are pretty upset about it, but I don't know. I don't think I would have put them in the playoff. Their wins haven't been overly convincing. They lost really badly to an Alabama team that just spanked their behind. And you could say the same thing about Notre Dame, but at least Notre Dame beat the team that beat them in Clemson. So that's my argument for it. I'd like to hear what you think about that. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about Oklahoma and A&M. What do we do about this?
Yeah, it's definitely concerning. I mean, OU winning 6 straight conference titles is really incredible, honestly. And it just kind of highlights how low we've been as a program, because when you look at the Big 12, it's always supposed to be Texas and OU at the top, and OU's just running away with the conference now. I think they have 13 Big 12 titles now, maybe 14, and we have 3. They've won 6 in a row. We have 3 in our history. So definitely, I think Lincoln Riley's won more conference titles than Texas has. I mean, Big 12 titles than Texas has ever, which is really, really frustrating, very sad, disappointing to say the least. And then on the other hand, A&M's also surging with a top 5 finish almost. I mean, when you talk about the playoffs and A&M, I think if you look at recency bias and eye test, maybe you can give A&M the nod. But if you go strictly off resume and who deserved to be there based on the whole body of work, it's clearly Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a shot at A&M. A&M's still a top 5 team. They're still really good. But Notre Dame, I mean, just look at the wins. They beat number 1 Clemson, and their second best win was at UNC, who was ranked 15. If you look at for A&M's second best win, maybe Auburn, who fired their coach. I don't even know. So I think just the resume favored Notre Dame, and they're a bigger brand. They're going to draw more, as always. So, and no one wanted to see A&M, Alabama again. I know Notre Dame will probably also get killed. It's really honestly whoever gets the 4th, he's going to get killed by Alabama. Right. But I mean, at least you get 2 blue blood, brands in there to watch. So I don't know. It'd be boring to watch a 2 division rivals play again in the playoff. That'd be weird. So I think they got it right, but it definitely just highlights, we need to definitely step up our end, Texas, because A&M took a step forward with Jimbo. Recruiting is going really badly for Texas, and it's going really good for OU and A&M. So it's just I've been harping on it for a while now. We need to get our act together quickly, because A&M and OU aren't playing around right now. So it's concerning, but I trust our admin and our boosters, do the right thing here in the next couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. Speaking of talent and such, let's talk about our signing class, since we haven't touched on it yet. I feel like in past years we would have done a full-on signing class video with a whole bunch of analysis, but not a very exciting class that we came out with. Ranked 17, which I don't think is that Tom Herman's lowest or second lowest. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's his lowest. I mean,
it is his lowest.
Class may have been lower, but that doesn't really count. That's half Charlie, half Tom.
Right. So yeah, ranked 17 class. Sanders definitely is kind of the highlight player of the class, with his great playmaking ability. Honestly, on my perspective, I'm surprised that we somehow hung on to him, but I guess he really wants to be at Texas, so good for him. We need more players like that. But yeah, Myers, touch a little bit about the signing class. Kind of what do you see in this class that gets you excited, and what do you see that doesn't get you excited?
Yeah, I'll put it nicely. I mean, there are some good pieces in this class. For example, there are some 3 stars that I do like Jaden Alexis. and maybe Juan Davis. There's some good players in there, Jonathan Brooks as well, but definitely underwhelming. You can't. I mean, if you're going to say it's a top 20 class, yippee! But like I always say, I'm comparing us to OU and A&M right now, our regional rivals, and they out recruited us pretty nicely this year. So just in terms of the whole class, definitely we need to recruit better. I've been saying that for a while. But yeah, in terms of the personnel, like you said, Jatavian Sanders, I'm very excited to see him, come to Texas and wear the burnt orange because I thought we were going to lose him too, like you. But I watched a lot of Denton Ryan the last 2 years with Billy Bowen and Jatavian Sanders, and I think it's pretty clear that Jatavian Sanders is better at tight end. I mean, that's kind of an unpopular opinion,
Yeah.
but at least in my opinion, he needs to be playing receiver - tight end first, and then maybe like pass rush on passing third downs, passing situations, because he's going to play both ways. Herman says, which I think he should. I mean, that'd be so cool to have a receiver - defensive end hybrid, and I mean, he's definitely good enough. But I just think his impact in the passing game, especially for us, because we are so depleted in the receiver room or tight end room for whatever reason. I mean, Jared Wiley's a good player, but I think you could get Tavian and Jared Wiley on the field together next year. No problem if you wanted to. And I think you got to maximize that and put him in there, throw him some balls. I mean, he's so good at jump balls. He's very physical. He's fast. He's really fast for his size, it's kind of funny to watch him run because he's just like so fast and so big.
Right.
And very excited to see him play. Others, JD Coffey, he's ranked pretty high, one of our higher ranked guys. He's a safety that I like a lot. I've heard some mixed things on him, like from people that also cover recruiting, but I just see the physicality in him, and I assume that he'll fit well with our culture defensively. So that's exciting. Ishmael Ibrahim got arrested, which is sad because I liked what he had a lot. He's one of our highest ranked guys too, and it's unclear if he will ever sign with us. Hopefully he will, but that's disappointing. And obviously Jonathan Brooks is like one of the most popular guys in the class. Only a 3-star though, because he does play in a low division, but hopefully he'll get that bump to a 4-star. But he was just really good in the playoffs. I mean, 60 touchdowns, something crazy like that in the playoffs. So yeah, he's a beast, and I can't wait to see him play. But kind of like Bijan, he kind of played against lower classification and Jordan Whittington. But we'll see how it all shakes out when he gets here. I'm sure he'll be just fine. So yeah, I mean, those are just a few of the guys, but I mean, the class overall is underwhelming. I mean, that's just a fact, just based on what we usually recruit at Texas. But maybe we'll be surprised and we'll have a really good class because Herman, I will give him credit. He's good at evaluating 3-star talent. I mean, like Sam Cosme, he's good at finding gems in the draft. So maybe this will work out well and this will be a good class. But on paper, it does not look that pretty right now. But maybe I'll be wrong and be excited about a lot of these guys in the next couple of years.
Agreed. Let's touch a bit on so we got a fair amount of transfers right now. Most notably, the one that came up recently is JaQuinton Jackson going out to Utah, which I know when I saw that first, I'm like, why? Why Utah, man? And then Charlie Brewer went out to Utah. I'm like, whoa, even weirder. Now, why would he transfer to a place with a like? I get it if like you had a starting position like locked down, like I totally get that. But now with Brewer going out there too, it's just like, what? Did he even like get offers from Utah? I mean, I'm sure he got offers from a lot of places when he was being recruited in high school, but like, is there even a relationship there? I'm just very confused by it. I'm not bothered by it. Like I honestly expected him to transfer. That was kind of, we saw this coming for a long time with how big of depth the quarterback room was, and that's probably just kind of how the quarterbacks are going to be from this point moving forward, not just at Texas but in college football with the transfer portal being so fluid all the time. Jackson going to Utah. Thoughts on that, Myers?
Yeah, I did not think he'd be a candidate to play at Utah. That did not see that one coming. I figured it'd be like at SMU or something like that.
Yeah.
Duncanville pipeline that specializes in getting people that were highly ranked and didn't work out at a big time program. So that was surprising. But yeah, that whole situation there at Utah is interesting to say the least. So look forward to watching how that progresses over the next year or two. I'm glad Charlie Brewer's not coming to Texas because there were rumblings of that, and I would not have liked that. I mean, Brewer is a decent quarterback, but we need someone better than that if we want to, take a step and, dethrone OU. So, yeah. And as far as the transfers, like you were speaking on, there's been it's going to happen in in today's college football, but I mean, Xavier Alford, Kenyatta Watson, if you count him, because that was earlier in the season, but still. And then, I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
And then you also just combine the fact that we're bringing in a class that's not as highly ranked as usual, and it just seems like maybe 2020 was our window of a top 5 talent that we had, and then it's just it's going to definitely take a step back in talent next year in terms of just overall talent. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes, but it's definitely the trend in our talent composite ranking it's lowering a little bit, but that might be just normal in college football. So, yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, there's definitely ebbs and flows that come with it. And I mean, with Herman on the hot seat for probably the rest of his time here at Texas, depending on how long that ends up actually being, that'd be, in my mind, very expected to have our talent kind of go down, because why would you want to play for a place that has a questionable coach, at the position, especially while you have so many other teams in the region that are doing so well, like in Oklahoma, like in A&M, Alabama's doing great. I mean, really a whole bunch of teams right now are really stepping up and doing well, which is unfortunate because we're suffering because of that. Let's talk a little bit, just to kind of round this off, on I mean, we mentioned it earlier, CDC endorsing Herman. I gave my thoughts. Myers, do you have any brief thoughts on that? You think it's just kind of pageantry, or do you think Tom Herman's going to be our guy in 2021?
Right now, I don't think he's going to be the guy in 2021. But yeah, that was kind of the softest vote of confidence I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't even think when Del Conte wrote that, if he knew if he was going to keep Herman or not. You could just see like the indecision in the statement, which is just so funny because it's supposed to like quiet the uncertainty, but you could see like the uncertainty within the statement. So yeah, I think it was just nothing but an attempt to hold on to some commitments, maybe bring in a few more guys for signing day, but didn't seem to work out. I mean, I guess it did work out because we didn't lose many decommits at the last second, but yeah, I don't read too much into that. I think the decision on Tom Herman will be made after the bowl game and in January.
Agreed. That'll be something to look out for, and maybe we'll do a video on that come January, a little bit more about other coaching. Well, I mean, we've talked about coaching candidates for so long, but we'll definitely be on the lookout for that. So look forward for that to come. And then last thing we're going to talk about to wrap up this show, playoff. We'll do just kind of a loose prediction here. Of course, you got Alabama at number 1 after their really good game against Florida. That was a great college football game. I was very happy to watch it. Got Alabama number 1. You got Clemson at number 2. Then you got Ohio State, which I feel like so many college football coaches like hated on them so hard because of their shortened schedule, and I'm just like, why? I get filibustering for your team, but like, to me, they're an obvious candidate for the playoff, and was kind of without question. I could see them like maybe being number 4 if you want to, discredit their schedule a little bit, but the eye test is clearly there. They're definitely not as dominant as like last season, but I definitely think they're deserving of a playoff spot. And then, of course, at number 4, you got Notre Dame. Myers, I'll hand it off to you first. What are you thinking how the playoff will shape up?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a year where the BCS system would have been better.
Yeah.
So I do expect Alabama to roll against Notre Dame and win comfortably, and then Clemson to also put it on Ohio State. I think Dabo Swinney is being strategic and is pretty vocal slandering of Ohio State. I think he wants to make this one personal because they played a lot over the last couple of years, really since Clemson's risen to power. They played Ohio State, I think, twice now, maybe three times,
Yeah,
and they always seem to, get the best of them. So,
they
and
have.
also Ohio State looks suspect this year. They definitely have holes, and they're not the team they were last year, which is really good. While Clemson looks just as good as last year, maybe even better at this point. So I think Clemson puts it on Ohio State, and Alabama does too. And that's a good thing for Texas because we do need. I will say that Ohio State getting blown out and Notre Dame getting blown out is a good thing for Texas in terms of like the coaching situation. It could help expedite things and make it more tempting to for maybe some of these coaches that are like tied to Ohio State and Notre Dame to come to Texas. So I'm looking forward to those games, and I expect them to be pretty comfortable wins for the Clemson and Alabama.
Yeah, I literally agree with the exact same sentiments. Nothing's different. When Clemson, Alabama, do you have a favorite for that game?
Yeah, I'll take Clemson. I think against Florida, you kind of saw Alabama's weaknesses on defense. I think Clemson's defense is a little better, and Clemson, revenge Trevor Lawrence, revenge Dabo against revenge Saban really because they didn't win it last year either. But I just think a little more of a complete of a team. It's hard to see Trevor Lawrence not going out with the title. And yeah, I mean Alabama did show some weaknesses, like I said, against Florida. So Clemson doing their thing, surging at the right time. I think Clemson wins the national championship.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time picking that game. I really am because, yeah, I definitely my first gut feel is like you, Clemson, thinking that Trevor Lawrence is going to get that one last victory and go out on a high note. But it's been so long since Alabama's won the title, and I just feel like they're due at the same time, and they got a really loaded offense that is definitely going to. Even though Clemson's defense is doing really well right now, I see them having a lot of issues with Bama. So I just if that matchup is what happens in the championship, I expect it to be a very fun game to watch. But I could go either way with my prediction. I need to see them. I need to see them play one more time before I give that. All right. Well, that wraps up this show today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like we said, wishing y'all a happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Whenever this video actually comes out, maybe it'll actually come out on Christmas Day. So consider that our gift from us to you. Let's hope that Texas performs well in this bowl game against Colorado. Should be fun. And we'll hear from you guys and see y'all in 2021.